welcome to a whole new concept that is yet to be named. You have to excuse the headphones because...
Can we call it Brian?
Well, why would it be called Brian?
Because Brian's a nice name. Yeah, you've yet to name it. Let's call it Brian.
But Brian...
Byram.
Byram.
He tried so hard in that cup game.
Byram tried so hard in that cup game, but he came on today, Byram.
He did indeed, but unfortunately he didn't have enough time to actually contribute significantly to the game.
Byram. I thought it meant Byron, the poet.
No, sweetie.
Well, there's a burger place called Byram Burger, which is very nice.
First of all, it's Byron. Second of all, Byram is one of our players. He seems like quite a nice kid.
I am aware we have a player called
So it's Byron Burger.
Yes.
No wonder I can't book a fucking table.
Oh, there you go.
So, okay. We've just finished this 1-1 with Bournemouth. There's going to be numerous reviews. Well, not repercussions. There's going to be numerous reviews on the interweb. So let's digress away from that. Let's have a little chat about David Moyes, maybe, which just come to me. I don't know why a burger has reminded me of David Moyes. Mike, let's start with you. We're going to have some order of...
Yes, so start with Mike.
Well, no, because now I can't hear you on the mic. The mic starts with a mic, okay? The point of the matter is, if you're not on the mic, we're not going to be able to hear you.
I know.
Okay, however many games Moyes has started, give us your early impressions on David Moyes on this first ever episode of Brian.
Well, I think that Moyes has done a job. It would be my way of putting it up. He's come in and he's claimed his salary. No, I'm being disingenuous. Okay, what do I think of Moyes? He has got a very interesting accent. His face looks like it's been slapped 500 times a day for the last 10 years.
Is he slightly... I don't know how old he is, but is he slightly more wrinkly than he should be for a man of his age?
Absolutely. I'll tell you what else. He's a shoo-in. He is a shoo-in for the next Doctor Who. Moyes is undoubtedly the Premier League manager out of all of them most likely to be called up to be a Doctor Who. Okay. Could anyone disagree with that? I mean, he's quite sinister looking. Oh, football. Do you know what? I think he's done an excellent job. I think that there are people who think he's too defensive, and he is. He plays an 8-1-1 formation, for crikey's sake. But I think that's largely down to do with who he feels he's got that's capable, that is available, and he has in the squad. That's what I think. I actually think he's trying to make them play football. I think we're way better away from home because that 8-1-1 formation suits playing away from home because Lanzini and Arnautovic are actually good enough to beat teams on their own away from home. But let's face it, on the counter, let's face it, he's the one who's got those performances out of him. He's the one who's made Noble a good player again. Yeah. He's the one who's made Matsuaku such a threat down the left. He's the one who is getting those performances out of those players. He's the one who's gone, you know what? Joe Hart, I don't care how much money you're on, the fact you're England's number one, I'm dropping you and playing a better goalkeeper instead. He's made big decisions, and he's made them well. There you go.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, hold on, Tone. Sequential order, old son. Sequential order. You are the last in the line, my friends, all right? So, crikey, I don't want you piping up yet. We're over to Emily next. So, Emily, who is Canadian.
So close. As long as Donald Trump is above.
Okay. Just very right. Emily pretends to be Canadian because if people say she's American, she's embarrassed about Donald Trump. But two things. Number one, do you agree with what Mike is saying about the overall, I don't know, the overall impact of David Moyes? Secondly, do you think you have to be a jocko to be Doctor Who?
Well, the thing is with Moyes is that if I look back to his appointment, he is the last person I wanted. I don't think that his particular appointment shows ambition, shows drive, shows a commitment to the European playing that we were promised. Having said that, he has actually really improved on my expectations. I think that he's done a very good job while he's here. The problem I have with Moyes is that I think that while he's getting absolutely the best out of Arnautovic, the best out of Noble, and that he actually is grinding out the results, I still have concerns in the fact that I think he makes every substitution. He makes the right one, but he makes it 15 to 20 minutes too late. I think that he knows what he's doing, but I have serious concerns against both legs against Bournemouth, both the home and away games. I think that I have serious concerns about the Newcastle game, that I think that he almost follows West Ham in a sense of playing to the opposition. And I worry very much about him being in charge for lower opposition games. I have serious concerns about both Bournemouth games, the Newcastle game. I think that a team that shows that sort of drive and commitment against Arsenal and Chelsea has to deliver against Bournemouth. And so far we haven't against home and away against Bournemouth. And so I still have some concerns about his appointment, in a sense.
Okay, next over to Bez. Bez, two things. Number one, you're going to have to hold the mic because my arm actually started aching quite a lot when I was holding it. I've not been to the gym in the last 15 years. So, so first of all, can you hold the mic and then pass it on to Tone, who's been very, very keen to get involved and pouring a... He's not a drinker, Tone. He's got a very, very small bottle of wine.
I'm on the wine. Look, that's what it looks like.
He's got the tiniest bottle of red wine. I'm not a big man.
But he's only pouring a bit at a time.
Well, I mean...
It breathes if you put it in.
Tony's intending on being here next week, okay? But Bez was drinking Jaeger bombs at 7:30 this morning. Do you think, Bez, and you're looking very good for it, may I bloody say, my friend. So hold the mic and tell us, has Moyes got a long-term future at West Ham, or is this just a 6-month contract?
Well, I don't think Moyes is doing a bad job. I don't think he's doing it's a hard job to come and take the West Ham job. The expectation from fans, the expectation from everybody here, players. I feel like he certainly turned some players around and out of it. Didn't want to know before he came, and now all of a sudden he does. It seems like, certain players do actually want to play. I'm a bit disappointed today we didn't win, but at the same time, a point's better than nothing, and it could have gone the other way, really. I think he's all right. I think he's all right. I'm quite happy at the minute. I'm not. Don't get me wrong. We could always do better. I think everyone could always do better in life. But I'm not dissatisfied. I mean, we're not losing. Well, how long has it been since we've had a major loss?
Let me just talk that. Let me crank this up a little bit. Yeah. So next week, David Sullivan offers him a 3-year contract.
I don't know if I want him for 3 years. No. I feel like he is a great stability manager. He's the type of guy that can come in and settle the ship. He's another Allardyce. Yeah, he will certainly make sure that everybody's okay. But do I really want to be behind him for 3 years going forward? Not really. I'd like to think that as a club we were moving a little bit more. We were progressing a little bit more than that. Mind you, I do actually think we're finishing the top half of the table this year. So if you ask me at the start of the season, under Bilic, when we were losing quite heavily, if I would have taken a top half of the table finish, most certainly. So in that respect, if he's done his job, if he's getting us a top table finish, and we had a little bit of a cut run, we don't get knocked out in Wigan, and we maybe go to the 5th or 6th round, I think he's had a good season of taking over from what Billy... I mean, this could have gone a really bad way. It could have gone right back to what Billy... We could have been losing again, and we could be in such a worse position than what we are in now. And in that respect, I take my hat off to Moyes, considering I didn't want him to have the job before. I don't think none of us here did we really? So, but yeah, I'm quite happy for him. I'm happy... when he gives his press conferences and his interviews, you can see it in his eyes. He wants to win. He does want to. You can't deny that from the man. And I'm not saying Bilic didn't, but I don't know. Moyes seems a little bit more convincing. He seems a little bit more... And I agree with you about the substitutions, by the way. I think the substitutions do come a little bit late, but, we're not losing. So as long as we're not losing, and, all right, drawing's not always great. We could mix it up with a few wins every now and again. I'm quite happy as a West Ham fan. Until we start spending money, the problem here we all know is the board. They don't want to spend no money. So until they want to start spending money, we're not ever going to get a better manager, and we're never going to progress. So we're in a catch-22 situation. and that's the end of it really. Don't know if you can add to that, Tone.
Well, yeah, thank you. Bit of Dougie Fresh going on, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. No. Where's your clock?
Yeah. No, I won't. No. Chicken wrap. Okay, so I guess putting things into a bit of context, let's look at the way David Moyes was employed, right? So he was basically given a 6-month contract. He was offered a £2 million bonus if we stay up. That didn't include a cup run. It was basically Premier League survival. That's it. So to judge him as to what he's doing tactically on the training pitch, you have to take that into context. So I suppose the question is more of a generic sort of footballing question: is will a manager behave differently? Will he plan strategically differently if he's on a long-term contract compared to if he's on a 6-month contract? So bearing in mind at the moment, let's assume, we don't know, let's assume that he, as far as Moyes is concerned, sorry.
Oh, seriously, man? Are you very professional. This is like...
Sorry, guys. I'm in demand.
Like, do you see that happen?
No.
You don't see Moyes.
No, sorry.
I'm not a bit.
Don't check it.
No, don't check it.
It's a
another offer. It's another offer.
Yeah.
Anyway, no. So
Did you just say what? What's that?
I said, did you get notifications for you?
Well, I do. Or not. Say that again.
Do you get notifications for you porn?
I don't know what she's talking about.
There's your internet goal.
hang on a minute.
Fucking viral bullshit.
What's YouPorn?
Oh, I like it. It's a rival for Pornhub, right?
That one. Yeah.
It's like Hammers TV.
I'm banned from all of them.
Yeah, I don't know what you're all talking about. As far as I'm concerned.
It doesn't happen on the South Coast.
No, we just like the sunshine and beaches.
We were talking about David Moyes, right? Yeah, anyway. I've totally lost my thread now, anyway. So, thanks, Mum. That's my mum that phoned me, by the way. So she
She's on YouPorn?
She said it.
Okay, so what was I saying? David Moyes. Okay, so David Moyes, 6 months. Yeah, so I suppose basically, I think what he's done basically, he is doing what I'd expect him to do. He's been offered £2 million bonus to keep us up. But there is another variable. A few people said he's in the last chance saloon from his own managerial career. Obviously at Sunderland, Man United, Sociedad, a bit of a disaster, all of them really, weren't they? So he's in the last chance saloon. So he's, I guess, for more. If you're David Moyes, you're thinking, what's more important, clawing the £2 million bonus or resurrecting my career? And there's and so if I'm him, I'd be thinking, you know what? Do I want a long-term future in the game as a manager, or do I want me £2 million? I'd like to think that Moyes thinks he's young enough.
I think he wants a bit of both. Would you not agree that he'd want a bit of both?
Yeah.
I mean, he's still. I mean, I quite like Scottish managers. I think they're quite good for some reason.
Generalisation.
Yeah, and Doctor Who. Yeah.
That's a bit weird.
Not in that way. Let's disregard Pornhub and all that with Scottish managers. I'm not going to put them in the same category. But yeah, I think they have a good effect. You know, I mean, I don't know what Moyes does. I don't know whether he.
Coyle.
Yeah. Well, I forgot about him. But yeah, I don't know what he does in the changing rooms, dressing room. He certainly, if he's kicking boots at people or whatever floats his boat, they're quite effective sometimes.
So, in a nutshell, sorry to digress and get back to your original question, I'm happy with what we've done so far. The only thing, I guess, is today, as we all saw, at home, we still lack a real plan at home. But one point, Mike and I were talking about when you guys were doing the review was, did I enjoy today's game? Yes, I did. I thought it was a really good game of football, and I thought I really enjoyed it. The crowd did. I mean, bloody hell, they were singing and shouting for a long periods of the game. So I enjoyed today, and I think basically. So far so good, but we've got to get another attacking midfielder. We've got, haven't we? I mean, we desperately need another attacking midfielder. As soon as Lanzini went off, we went to pieces.
I would almost challenge that a little bit in saying that, like, I actually think attacking-wise we're not that bad, but I think we actually need a central defensive midfielder quite badly. I think that Chiate has, that is my... Oh,
Better. Okay, better. Let's rephrase that.
I feel like this year has been me watching a collective of Chiate tracking back and just watching someone run the ball past him. We know he's a good player. We have watched him be a good player. We have watched him be a phenomenal player season after season. And this year, he is a passenger. He's not aggressive. He does not attack. And if someone gets the ball over him, he doesn't track back in the right way. He almost looks like Roger Johnson in that cup game again, and that's not what we're paying him to be.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Would you not agree that that was description of Chiate last season as well?
Ooh, here's where we get interesting. I think it was less noticeable last season, but it's possible that it occurred very much last season because I think that he had more cover that season. I think this year he's very much exposed, and how he still retains a spot in the starting 11, I don't know.
Because we haven't got anything better.
Well, we don't. Declan Rice.
Is Declan Rice's favoured position not a centre-half?
It is, but is Chiate's favoured position not right back?
Yeah. But we all know him to play as a
but
defensive midfielder.
I don't think he's as engaged in the match as he has been in previous years, and I think that's a big problem this year.
If we're going to talk about Czech Chiate, I'm going to ask Gonzo a question in a second, if that's all right.
The tables have turned.
Yeah. But Czech Chiate isn't playing as a defensive midfielder now, is he? He's playing as an attacking midfielder on the right-hand side, am I right? Is that what he was? And he was at the last few games. I've seen him play on
it's hard to
TV.
tell what he's doing out there.
It is difficult, I agree. But here's the thing, it's because we haven't got anyone else. I mean, I think that's why we're playing 8-1-1 as a formation. Now, here's the question I wanted to ask Gonzo. Yeah, mate. You will remember, because I was sat next to you at the game, a particular game. I will ask you this. Could you see this team under Moyes losing 3-0 at home to Brighton?
No. Listen, no, we couldn't. He's clearly instilled a bit of steel into the team. We're harder to beat. Earlier on, there was a comparison with Allardyce. I would suggest that Allardyce flatters to deceive. Allardyce promises defensive solidity, and he doesn't deliver defensive solidity. Did they lose today? Did Everton lose today? Was 1-0, was it? Okay, so they came back. I think Allardyce has never had as much money to spend as he's got right now. Sorry, I keep looking at the camera if you're wondering, just to check that it's still recording. He's never had as much money to spend as he's just spent now. He's put 27 million on a forward from Besiktas, 20 million on Theo Walcott. I actually do think that what Allardyce claims to be, Moyes actually is. If you know what I mean. So I think Moyes delivers that. Is that what we were promised when we moved from the bowling and blah blah blah? No, but we've not got that. What we were promised, the investment has not followed. The players have not followed. So. Do I think we would lose 3-0 to Brighton? No, I don't, because I think he's a little bit too savvy. I think he just puts too many bloody defenders on. No one will beat us 3-0, including Man City, who look to be amongst the best teams in Europe. Sorry, we've got lots of questions here. But I would love to see Moyes involved in an episode of Fake Taxi, I've got to say.
What, being the taxi driver?
I'm not saying I want to see his
Everyone...
You ain't
What
going to
was
get
me
out
is
of
that
it.
everyone automatically knew what it was.
Yeah.
The only slight challenge I would have to that is that I honestly think that, the Brighton game was bad. I didn't realize that we conceded a penalty. It was that bad. But the challenge I would have to that is the Newcastle game and the Bournemouth game that we had around the Christmas time, in that we conceded so quickly. We went down so quickly. And I think that there is still the potential to do that same kind of game And I think that he still waits a little bit too long to rectify it. And so, whereas I don't think we'll end up losing the 3-0 to Brighton, as you said, I think we won't have that same result. I think that we still run the risk of going down that fast. The difference is we're pulling it back slightly now, but I don't think we're pulling it back enough to be different.
So we've got a few options on that. I asked Gonzo, everyone else seems to want to answer this. Do you think we under Moyes we could lose 3-0 to Brighton?
I think anything's possible sometimes. I mean, I know that's kind of I know that's kind of like avoiding.
Who spanked us just after we came?
Everton.
Yeah, the problem is with West Ham is, as you well know, over the years we're not consistent enough, and we never have found any consistency. I'd like to think that Brighton wouldn't come here under Moyes. He like Gonzo said, he certainly strengthened us and made us a solid like team with regards to from the back. But yeah, I'd like to think that we wouldn't lose at home. I think it's just part of being West Ham, and it's in me blood. Just getting back to the point of sometimes we're a bit inconsistent with regards to, going to a big side and beating them, and then maybe coming back to the London Stadium and we could possibly not get a great result. So in that respect, yeah, maybe teams like Brighton could come here. I mean, what we've got to realise is there's a lot of teams out there that want to come to the Olympic Stadium and try and get something from the game. It's a massive stadium. It's a big thing for other clubs. There's a lot less pressure on away teams, I feel, coming to this ground than there is for us, which is obvious anyway, because obviously we're a home side. But at the moment, again, I'm going to back Moyes and I'm going to say no. I don't think teams like Brighton or any team below 16th, 15th, 16th are going to come and try and at least and get 3 goals, maybe 1-0, but they're not going to score. They're not going to score 3, not at the minute. So, right.
So I have one final question actually, and this is to everybody, and that's okay. So, yep, okay. Okay, I'll start stuttering now. So basically, so far we've seen this style of football from Moyes, which we seem to be better when we counter-attack, right? Basically, we've seen the same style home and away. Do you guys believe that Moyes can formulate an approach where he has a style away from home and at home? Because basically, we haven't seen any difference so far, have we?
No.
Yeah.
Not with this squad, I don't think we can.
Wow, good answer. I think that's a bloody good question. I think that he has the potential to do it, but whether or not he actually will do it is a different question. I think that he might not, but if he really put his mind to it, he probably could.
I agree with Bez, not with the squad. I mean, basically, I think he wants to. I actually disagree with Emily. I think he wants to. He hasn't got the squad to do it.
I think no. And I think this is why he struggled at Manchester United. I think Moyes has one way of playing. And I think, particularly at a club like Man United, you've actually got to go and you've got to attack. Now, I'm not saying Van Gaal did any better. I'm really not. I think he was limited at it. I'm not even suggesting that Jose Mourinho's doing any better, but I think Alex Ferguson showed us the way. Obviously, we're talking about the best manager, whatever that there's been in the last 50 years or whatever the case may be. But I think if you were going to see that a manager could mould a team in his ambition and in his philosophy, it would have been there. And he went and bought Mata from Chelsea for 30 million. He really did have the disposal of £1 billion, the second richest club in world football, at his leisure. He could have spent what he wanted. And actually, did he choose adventure? No, he chose pragmatism. And okay, yeah, in a second. Sorry, I don't mean to be rude. I'm just checking the thing.
No, it's not blinking.
So no, it's not blinking. It's not. I'm blinking. I'm blinking useless. No. So it's a bit of a bright light, but I think at that point he probably showed what his limitations are as a manager. Now, I do think whilst we are, as I think Bez alluded to earlier, we have a limited budget as a football club, I think it probably works quite well for us because he gets the best out of not the best players in the world. Do I think suddenly he's going to develop some sort of formation whereby when we go away from home we sit tight, when we're at home we play expensive football? I just don't think he's got it in his repertoire.
Do you agree with that?
I do.
I disagree. I think at Manchester United he wasn't actually. They changed the guy who was doing the deals. They changed the director of football. I don't think he got the players that he wanted, particularly. Emily, do you quickly.
The only quick thing I will say is that I actually think that you cannot compare his time at Manchester United to his overall CV, because as it stands, he's not done worse than Louis van Gaal. He actually, in hindsight, had a really good track record at Manchester United, but you can't compare him to someone who was there forever and got knighted for it. It's not comparable. You can't consider that.
You can't compare you can't compare Alex Ferguson to Moyes. I'm sorry, I agree here. It's looking at his record. Realistically, was he ever going to do as well as, regardless of how long they give Moyes, whether they give him 1 season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons, was he ever going to win the league? Was he ever? He was never going to be successful like Ferguson was. So in that respect, I feel like
since Ferguson's gone, Man United have had Moyes, Van Gaal and now Mourinho, right, notoriously defensively minded managers, right? Who's to say that Pep Guardiola, if they would, or Jurgen Klopp, for example, if he would have gone in there, I believe hand on heart that Man United would have been playing more sexy football and more point scoring football than if Moyes would have been there.
Do you think they're playing good football now then?
No, it's shit.
Because I don't.
No, it's awful.
Compared to the Ferguson days, I haven't seen nothing in Man United.
That's crap, because basically they've had defensive-minded managers since Ferguson left.
But that's kind of the point. It's saying that actually Moyes can't be judged on his time at Man United.
No, he can, because basically Man United, since Ferguson have gone, has made bad choices for managers. Right, for a club that are so proud of their expansive, exciting football, they've completely deviated from that in the last 3 managerial appointments.
But that's not Moyes' fault.
No, it's not Moyes' fault, but he is one of that ilk.
Because if you got offered the Man U job,
I know
you
that,
would.
No, but the one thing I will say about Moyes at Man United is that if you had judged Moyes' first-year record against Ferguson's first-year record, you'd have fired Ferguson. And
1987.
I know, but that's the sort of point, is that in modern day football you have to give someone a chance, and Moyes never got the chance that he deserved there, and they have not bettered him since he left. So I think his time at Sunderland was enough to convince me that he shouldn't be in charge of West Ham United, but I think that his time at Manchester United was unfair. I think he was quite good at Everton.
He never played sexy football.
I don't think they needed sexy football at that time. I think that they got to a point that was actually surprisingly good for what they should have been.
They need stability, didn't they? Which is what.
And they have not replicated that since he left.
He's a bit. Sorry, he's slightly enigmatic. Oh, that's not bad after a few wines. You've had fuck all, mate. You've got no fucking wine. All right. Anyway, enigmatic. He's a bit enigmatic. No, he is a little bit, isn't he? I mean, basically, like I say, he's a bit. He's clearly divisive.
Without question.
Yeah, but so. He's doing well for us at the moment, and I think that if he carries on the way he is to the end of the season, everybody will be well happy with him. But I suppose, okay. So here's a great question, right? So if Moyes continues the way he does right now, let's just say, I don't know how many points he's averaged in his first, I think it's something like 1.3, right? So if he was to continue until the end of the season, and this is a binary question, would you give him a new deal, right? Let's go around the table.
Okay, well, number one, I don't know what binary question means.
Yes,
okay,
I know.
It sounds a bit Star Wars to me.
Yes or no? It's spin of a coin.
Binary. It's like ones and zeros. Binary code is ones and zeros.
I like how you're fucking up your own
podcast. Binary is ones and zeros.
This is what happens when you put a plumber in.
But that's C3PO in Star Wars says I'm a binary droid. Are we talking Star Wars? Oh, listen. In a Jedi scheme of things, if this is what we're talking about.
Binary.
Binary. It's like C3PO.
Binary.
Right, anyway, binary.
It's a 1 or a 0.
Yeah, exactly.
Binary. And people, and David Moyes recently celebrated his 200th Premier League win against Huddersfield. He has won. You're quite right, Emily. He was just saying, if you didn't pick it up on the mic, he's one of 5 or 4 managers. He is very, very close to achieving his 900th Premier League game as a manager. That's huge. I do believe that if he was going to show some adventurous characteristics, we would have seen it at some point during the past 900 games. I don't think we have. Do I think that means he should be sacked or not retained? No, I don't. Actually, I think whilst we have these sort of macabre, stingy bastard sort of owners, I think he's in many respects he's the perfect manager.
Yeah.
I really do. So that's absolutely cool. But do I think he's going to turn into to Pep Guardiola or Philip Scolari? Then I certainly don't. What was your question, Tone?
The initial question was basically if you had to choose right now, extend his contract. Right now, yes or no?
Right now, as things stands, with our budget, it looks like they're not going to spend. I would say yes. He keeps us safe. He keeps us where we want to be. It's not sexy, but we don't always need sexy. We got you, porn, for that.
Sexy's fun.
He's going to get a new contract if he keeps full stop the end.
Yep. As it stands right now, I think he's actually done a very good job, given what he's been presented with, and I would give him a second contract. In terms of sexy football, in my lifetime, I've never seen it. So
You have not seen.
I've never seen sexy football, and what I enjoy is not getting relegated, and I think that we will not go down under Moyes, and I'll give him an extension.
Yeah, but are we not thinking too early? I mean, how many points are we off relegation here? And at the end of the day, at the end of the day, we are 6 points off relegation. Is there a bit of there's a big difference? So we're maybe answering this question a little bit early. At the minute, the way that we're going, I'd probably give him a new contract. Ask me that again at the end of the season.
No, that's what I said. No, yeah, okay. So the point I made was if you extrapolate what we've done so far, and if we continued as we are until the end of the season, would you offer him a new contract? So
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So me. Yes. There you go. Yes. So it's five.
Okay. So there we go. I think this has been a good debate. Yeah. I think it's been. I mean, Mike's got a really nice coat. Emily has never seen sexy football. Never. Bez thinks we've come too early. Tone drinks. He thinks we've shot our load too early. Tone drinks wine at a very, very slow rate indeed, and I would like to see a fake football agent video. Aside from that, please join us again for another episode of Byron Burger Brian. What a fucking obscure video this has been, but hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you want to troll us in the comments below, please do. That'd be absolutely marvellous. Thank you.